Gender and Land Degradation. This is an audio-visual version of the online course on gender equality, women's empowerment and the environment. Land as the foundation of our societies. Please watch this video and then we'll continue.
Land is the foundation of our societies. It is the engine of economic growth. We build our homes on land, we transport goods by rail and road across the land, we grow our food and produce our energy on the land. Land filters our water and brings it to our taps. Why then do we take land for granted? Why do we degrade this life-giving asset? Why do we misuse it and treat land like dirt? Every year we're losing 24 billion tonnes of fertile soil, 13 million hectares of forest. Sprawling cities and slums are covering some of our most fertile and productive land. Fortunately, we can wake up to a land degradation neutral world. We can create the future we want in two simple ways. We can protect what we have left and fix much of what we have destroyed. Where landscapes are underperforming, we can make them more productive. Where they're sick and tired, we can restore them to health. We have the knowledge, we have the experience. We can roll out affordable and effective practices to manage the land and its resources better. This is the way to reach the other goals on food and water security. It is how we will end poverty and deliver real climate action. Isn't it obvious that we need to take better care of our working landscapes? Let us invest and protect the land, the foundation of all life, to achieve sustainable development for all.
How does this relate to your work or personal experience? Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to describe the relationship between gender and land degradation, identify the main international commitments on gender equality and land degradation, explain how gender equality contributes to achieving sustainable land use and management, provide examples of gender-responsive initiatives on sustainable land use and management. Overview. 1. How are gender and land degradation connected? 2. How are gender gaps linked to land degradation and how can they be addressed? 3. How do gender-responsive approaches contribute to effective policies and projects addressing land degradation? Let's start at 1. How are gender and land degradation connected? Section 1. Gender and land degradation. How are land degradation and gender linked? Why are gender considerations important? Read on to find out more. Let's go. A sneak peek into the numbers. See if you can guess. How much of the Earth's land surface is affected by land degradation? Is it 5%, 10%, 33%, or 9%? It may be quite high. I'm going to try 33%. That's right. The pressure on land resources is growing in many regions of the world. At the same time, the increasing demand for arable crops, meat and dairy products, as well as bioenergy and timber, is exacerbated by land degradation. A sneak peek into the numbers. Let's see if you can guess. In how many countries do women have the same legal rights as men to own and access land? Is it 28, 54, 83, 15? I think it's 28. That's right. Often women have access to the land they rely on for food, income and shelter only through their relationship with a male relative, husband, father or brother. When women lack legal and social control over the land they depend on, they are at risk of displacement and exploitation. This hampers women's ability to lift themselves and their families out of extreme poverty. Land degradation. A quick overview. What is land degradation? Land degradation is the reduction or loss of biological or economic productivity, or of the complexity of rain-fed cropland, irrigated cropland, pasture, forest or woodlands, resulting from the combined effects of natural climatic processes and other human activities and habitation patterns such as land contamination, soil erosion, and the destruction of the vegetation cover. 1.5 million. Salt intrusion in irrigated land creates heavy damages. Every year, salinization results in an estimated loss of around 1.5 million hectares of arable land and of US $11 billion in production. 24%. The percentage of total land area that has been degraded or is in the process of degradation has risen from 15% in 1991 to over 24% today. 169. Drought and land degradation affect more than 169 countries, with impacts felt most severely in the poorest rural communities. 70%. In the last 2 centuries, human beings have cleared or converted 70% of the grassland and 50% of the savanna. 78%. Globally, 78% of the land undergoing degradation is in terrestrial ecosystems other than dry land. 80%. The world's cropland and pastures extended by more than 154 million hectares between 1985 and 2005. Commercial agriculture is the cause for 80% of deforestation worldwide. What are the drivers of land degradation? Climatic variations hazards, such as extreme and unpredictable weather events, are natural drivers of land degradation. Anthropogenic climate change is pushing such variations into uncharted territory in the form of droughts, floods, typhoons, heat waves, and sand and dust storms. Human interventions on land or water, such as unsustainable use and inappropriate management practices, for example, deforestation, overgrazing, and bio-industrial activities, can cause land degradation. Underlying causes refer to the reasons why inappropriate use and management of land and water are practiced. For example, abusive and improper agricultural practices occur when population pressure limits accessibility to good land. Land degradation and the social nexus. Drivers: increase in rural population. The number of people depending on land resources increases every year. Limited land resources. There are no longer enough areas of usable land in some regions. The pressure of population growth is reducing the size of farms and lowering production. Let's look at the outcomes. Land shortage. These two drivers combined lead to land shortage and landlessness, which in turn increase poverty. Poverty. Poverty resulting from land shortage leads to unsustainable land management practices. Non-sustainable land management practices. Poor farmers are compelled to implement many unsustainable practices, such as clearing forests, making unbalanced fertilizer applications, and using poor irrigation methods. Land degradation. Inappropriate land management practices reduce land productivity. This means the land no longer responds well to the same inputs, so farmers must increase their efforts to maintain crop yields and farm incomes, reinforcing land shortage. Point of reflection. Can you think of examples where land degradation has different social impacts for women and men? Write your reflections down. Gender roles in relation to land use. Men, women. Since there is an important human factor in the causes of land degradation, gender becomes a key aspect for consideration. Men and women, according to their socio-economic condition, position, and societal roles, might also be affected differently by land degradation. Both must be recognized as a crucial part of the solution. Men's roles. In relation to land, men tend to focus on commercial enterprises such as growing cash crops and keeping large livestock, primarily for trade. They usually make the decisions about land use and plan farm activities. In some areas, more men are moving from their degrading lands to look for jobs in urban areas, leaving women to assume new roles and responsibilities, but also new challenges. Women's roles in agricultural areas impacted by land degradation are generally related to child and elderly care and unpaid domestic tasks such as cooking, looking after small livestock and medicinal plants, growing vegetables for subsistence food, and collecting water and wood. Gender roles in agriculture. Globally, women are a significant labour force, making up 43% of the agricultural workforce. In many poor countries, more than 95% of all economically active women work in agriculture. Case study, Tajikistan. In Tajikistan, 97% of agricultural land is somewhat eroded. While only 7% of the country is considered suitable for economic land use, about 2/3 of the rural population depend on agriculture for their livelihoods. This is mostly female, as many men have migrated outside the country for work. A sustainable and viable agriculture sector is therefore important to women workers and to the cohesion of rural communities. Women can also play a key role in addressing land degradation. Key message: understanding and addressing the roles of men and women and the power relations linked to land management is a primary requirement for combating land degradation.